Silakan. Good morning.
Good morning, Prachi.
How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning, everyone.
Thank you for the beautiful message yesterday, Dimples. It was so beautiful.
No, I'm a bit confused because it's been 2 weeks. We did the Varna Ashrama Vyavastha or we didn't the last time?
No, we didn't.
Oh, we haven't done it?
No.
Okay. About these, how in the Vedic context, what my message was, which I actually took from Pujya Swamiji's book when we were doing chapter 4.
Yeah.
In the Vedic context, there was a guna vibhaga, basically your mental aptitude, let's put it like that. Some people love to be active. They want to be doing things. They try to help others. So those are the, that is Rajoguna predominant. You know about the 3 gunas,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Sattva, Tamas. Okay.
But I think everyone will not know because they are not a Vedanta student.
Okay. So basically what they say is in Prakriti, there are 3 gunas and those gunas are there in everybody. Okay. And we all are a mixture of all the 3 gunas. It's a matter of which one is more predominant, let's put it like that. Like I think I read in the book, for example, and that composition can change anytime in your life. Like babies apparently are more tamoguna predominant because they're sleeping all the time when they're first born,
Right.
So the 3, in this, I have an earlier book to the one I sent you, but if you look at chapter 3, there is a table, right?
Yes, there is.
Okay, so that basically explains this Varna Vyavastha beautifully. So they actually say that in the Vedic society, they basically identified 4 aptitudes and everything falls into within these. Okay.
Right.
So it could either be a contemplative attitude, or it could be a very active, but a very selflessly active attitude.
Right.
Or an active attitude of somebody who's very active, but is more interested in self-gain and things like that.
Right.
And both are people who could just be not really interested. They're quite mechanical. They just go through life. I mean, they don't. So these 4 attitudes or gunas were categorized as the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. So that is guna vibhaga. Then there was one which is by occupation. People who were obviously more contemplated were given the task of studying, doing research, teaching others, and then they evolved into what is the priestly class.
Right.
The second group were called the Kshatriyas, who were basically active. So, they protected people, they were into administration and things like that. The third group became the Vaishyas, who were into commerce and business. And then the unskilled labor fell into the 4th group.
Yeah, the Shudras.
But what happened over a period of time was these became very rigid and compartmentalized, and there became a hierarchy. But originally in the Vedic society, there was no hierarchy. Nothing was greater. This was better or that was better. It was just based on aptitude and the profession you followed. So that is when it became a right by birth. So they talk of Jati Varna, they talk about Guna Vibhaga, Jati Vibhaga, and Karma Vibhaga. Swami always stressed that the most important thing is Guna Vibhaga. What is your what are your gunas? What is your attitude? It doesn't matter which birth you have taken, which family you've taken birth in. You could be born a Brahmin and then you're engaging in running an industry. Then how are you a Brahmin? You're not a Brahmin.
Correct.
Then call yourself a Vaishya, Dharma Vaishya. But you know how it is when somebody's a Brahmin, they say, oh, we are Brahmins and we are superior. So
Right.
all this man created over a period of time. The only reason I'm stressing this is to explain that the Vedic society didn't have a caste system. as such.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It was just based on these different categories. What suited you, you did.
Right.
But human beings are capable of distorting any, no matter how noble an institution there may be. So that's what's happened over the years. And there's so much rigidity and these are other castes and all this is nonsense.
Right. Should we start this journey now?
Yes, please.
Okay, lovely. So to everyone, welcome to our Vedanta Awakening Session, Chapter 3, Varnashram and Vyavastha. It was mentioned that the Vedas, consisting of Veda Purva and Vedanta, help us in fulfilling our goals of Priyas and Shreyas. For this purpose, Vedas prescribe a lifestyle. What is the lifestyle prescribed by the Vedas for the fulfillment of our goals? The Vedic scheme of life is known as Varna Ashram Vyavastha. Varna Ashram scheme. This scheme consists of two separate schemes. One is Varna scheme and the other is Ashram scheme. Of these two, the Varna scheme is meant for the maintenance of social order and social progress. Since a human being is part of a society, he or she cannot ignore social harmony and live happily. So also communal harmony and ecological system, we have to take into account the totality of existence because a human being is not an isolated individual. Therefore, the setup influences our life. We should have a scheme for the maintenance of social harmony. This is Varna scheme. At the same time, we have to safeguard our individual interests. We cannot spend our entire life for society alone. As a person, I am interested in personal harmony and personal progress. Hence, we should have a scheme which should take care of my peace and also my progress as an individual. This is Ashram scheme. Our lifestyle should be balanced, that it take care of social harmony as well as individual progress. If the balance is not there, peace will be lost. There are many social workers who have contributed a lot to society, but have failed miserably in their family or personal life. Their spouses and children may be the most disappointed people. They have been people who have done well individually, but their contribution to society is nil. They have been utterly selfish. The Vedic scheme is a wonderful scheme, which takes care of a person as an individual and as a social member, a responsible citizen of the world. Thus, social harmony is taken care of by the Varna scheme and the individual is taken care of by the Ashram scheme. It's pretty clear. Does anybody have any question? You can use the chat box and let us know. Dimples can answer you, but I think it's pretty clear. What do you say, Dimples?
Sounds clear to me.
If anybody has questions, the idea is that please feel free to ask her. That's why she's coaching and mentoring us, sharing her knowledge bank with all of us. So now we're going to move to section of the first part, the Varna scheme. The word Varna indicates a particular group or class in a society. It is based on the classification of society into various groups, and each group is called a Varna. It is a very broad classification applicable to all nations and all regions. But generally, it is a scheme and the classification is into 4 groups. Thus, we have 4 Varnas called Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna uses the word Chaturvarnyam. Varna Chaturvarnyam. This classification is not from one standpoint. It is done from 3 standpoints. Any classification can be done based on different standpoints. It can be sex-based, age-based, education-based, language-based, and so on. Therefore, whenever we talk of classification, we should remember that it requires a reference point. This Varna classification has been made from 3 standpoints. 1 based on birth, 2nd on character, 3rd on profession. Here is an example, Varna Vyavastha. So by the category, when you're born, so that's the first category. Like, so the category says birth, character, occupation. So Brahmins, when they were born of Brahmins, are called Brahmins. Kshatriyas.
Sorry, can I interrupt? That's a called
Yes,
That
Yes,
will be called Jati Brahmana. That means
right.
born of Brahman or a Jati Kshatriya. You know?
Perfect. Yes.
Hmm.
And people who are born in Vaishyas, born of Vaishyas will be called Jati Vaishyas. People who are born in Shudras will be called Jati Shudras. Now, with character, when you're dividing, the Brahmins could be contemplative. Kshatriyas are selflessly active. Vaishyas are selfishly active.
There is, sorry, please, I must explain that there is no judgment in this. What it means is that they put their interests or their family interests before other people's interests. That's all it means. It's not a judgment, okay?
Yeah. So it's, Kshatriyas are selfless, apparently. Vaishyas are selfish. That's it. Now,
Yeah.
both are fine. That's how it is. Shudras are ideal.
Yeah.
Now, in the category, the third division is by occupation. So Brahmins by occupation are spiritual, they're education and priesthood based. That's what they're indulging in. Kshatriyas are into administration and defense. Now, Vaishyas are either into commerce or into agriculture. The Shudras, as such, have no skilled labor, so they're called unskilled labor. They could be in anything which is not skilled. So, which is why you see them doing some kind of menial jobs. Now, this is done by human beings. As Dimples pointed out, our Vedic community has not talked about this. The Vedic has said very categorically that by occupation, whatever you're choosing, so it's that category. But people have made it by birth, right? Is that clear? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now Varna based on birth. Based on one's birth, we have 4 Varnas. In Sanskrit, it is called Jati Veshtha. Jati
Vyavastha.
Sorry. Jati Vyavastha, Jati scheme. This alone has become notorious today as the caste system. In Sanskrit, the word Jati means birth, Janma means birth. Jati means birth or Janma. Based on this, we have Jati Brahman, Jati Kshatriya, Jati Vaishya, and Jati Shudra. That Dimples has already told all of us about. Now, there's another Varna. We talked about 2 of them, right? Now we're coming on the second one. Varna based on character. Based on one's character, swabhav or gun, we have divisions. This is gun vyavastha. Broadly based, we have 4 possible distinct characters. One is a spiritual character. Such a tendency is called Brahman gun. The people and in this character are called guna brahmanas. Though by birth, these people may not be Brahmins. So let's understand this, that if they're into education, they may not have been born in a Brahmin family, but they have the Brahmin guna. To put in scriptural language, they have sattva guna, predominance, backed by rajoguna, that is sattva, rajas, tamsam, in that tamas in that order. And this we
I'm sorry, going
Yes.
to jump in, Prachi.
Yes.
It's very important to remember these 3 gunas.
Yes.
You've understood broadly what each guna indicates, right? Sattva is more contemplative, Rajas is more active, and Tamas is more mechanical, idle, whatever you want to call it. So the 4 categories are based on the first guna that's mentioned is the predominant guna, but we have to have all 3 gunas, because if you didn't have tamo guna, you wouldn't be able to sleep at night, you know, that, so you're a combination of 3 gunas, and that's the way we all function. It's
Right.
just a matter of what is more predominant. So that's why the order is given as Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, SRT, as he has said, you know, for the Brahmanas. It'll change with every category. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. So for Brahmins, what we have told by Dimples is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas is the order, SRT, as they say. So now some others are selflessly active, though they may not go to a temple or do meditation, they spend their entire life serving the society. These people remain members of several social organizations and remain busy doing one service or another. They may not have time even for their family. They are the people who are extrovert and active, but all the activities are meant not for themselves, but for others. This character is called Kshatriya Guna. And the people with this character are called Guna Kshatriyas, though by birth they may not be Kshatriyas. In scriptural language, they have Rajo Guna predominance backed by Sattva Guna. So it's RST, Rajo Guna.
This,
and Sattva Guna.
yeah, this could include people who are in the army, who are in the administrative services, who are in the police, border security force, because they're all working towards protection.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There are some others who are selfishly active. They are also so active that they don't have time for their wife and children. Most of the activities are centered on gathering money, possessions, etc. for themselves and their family, and for the sake of society or
And
others.
not for the sake of society or
Yes. And they're selfishly active. So it's all about I, me, and am, me and mine. They may be striving for either name or fame or status or anything, but they basically remain selfishly active. This character is called Vaishya Guna. And the persons having this character are called Guna Vaishyas. Though by birth, they may not be Vaishyas. These people have Rajo Guna predominance backed by Tamo Guna. So RTS.
instead of RST, it becomes RTS.
Yeah,
Right?
absolutely.
Tattva Guna is last. Yeah.
The fourth possible character is marked by indolence and unthinking existence. There is no activity at all. The only activity you see in such people is eating and sleeping. They may have some hereditary property, thus they are not forced to earn any wealth. They merely sit and eat and continue to be lazy. Their minimum activities are mechanical, unskilled, and routine activities. Such a person cannot be expected to do any job that requires indiscrimination. Such a character is called Shudra Guna, and the person with this character is said to be Guna Shudra, though by birth he may not be Shudra. This group has Tamoguna backed by Rajoguna, TRS. Now we're coming to the point where Varna is based on profession. So we have 4 Varna. Yes.
Sorry, Prachi, can I just interrupt? Because I'm
Please,
looking
I
at
would
Swami.
love, you don't have to say sorry, just say because this is your validation is the most important.
So I'm just reading what Swamiji has written in this verse 13 of chapter 4, because that is the one where Lord Krishna says, Chaturvarnya Maya Shrishtam, Chaturvarnyam Maya Shrishtam, whatever, So here he said, if a tamas rajas sattva, the last one, right?
Yeah.
TRS, person wants to become sattva, rajas, and tamas, he has to become rajas, tamas, sattva first. You cannot suddenly switch over. There is no jumping possible here. It is here because he first has to become rajas, tamas, sattva, and then rajas, sattva, tamas, and then only sattva, rajas, tamas. It's very interesting. I'm only explaining this to you to say that it is possible to change your mental attitude, but it is a progression. You can't jump from 10 to 1, right? So you have to go up the ladder from 10, 9, 8. So it is a process involving growth, and it is what maturity is all about.
Right.
And that's why we do karma yoga, to mentally purify ourselves. So what I'm saying is having the fourth group that we talked about, which is tamas, rajas, sattva. If he wants to change that composition, he has to slowly work at it. He cannot straightaway become sattva the very next day.
Absolutely.
That is where maturity, emotional maturity comes in.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So now after this, we are coming to the Varna based on profession. So we have 4 Varnas based on karma also. We're not dealing with a person's birth or character in this. On the other hand, we're dealing with this profession based on that. We divide society into 4 groups. The first possible karma activity is religious activity or religious teaching. That is a life committed to the study of scriptures, the teaching of scriptures, and helping the society in leading a religious life. This profession is akin to priesthood, where the entire life is committed to religion and helping others in following religion. This profession is called Brahmana Karma. The person who takes to such a profession is called Karma Brahman. Then the second possible profession is politics, a profession in which one dedicates oneself to the service of society or the country. One may join politics, government, or administration. This includes the army also. In fact, this takes into account all those occupations which are connected to the protection of the country. This is called Kshatriya Karma. And the person who takes to such a profession is called Karma Kshatriya. The third possible profession is commerce or business. It includes agriculture as well as the production and the distribution of various commodities. This profession is called Vaishya Karma. And the person who takes to such a profession is called Karma Vaishya. So I hope everyone's clear. This is about business that we before talked about. Now we're coming to the fourth and the last. The fourth possible profession is service. The person belonging to this profession does not take to any one particular professional, but he serves the karma brahmans or the karma kshatriyas or the karma vaishyas. This service is called Shudra karma, and a person who takes to such a karma is called karma Shudra. He's not a leader, he's not an employee. He is an employee. He's not a leader, he's an employee, he's working for others. A person who is led by the leaders in the other three professions. Now, if we take an individual's jati, guna, or karma, they need not be the same in one person. An individual can be a mixture of these three varnas based on the three standpoints. There is no rule that a jati Brahman should be a guna Brahman or a karma Brahman. If a person is born a Brahman, he is a jati Brahman. If he becomes an MLA or a minister, he is karma Kshatriya. If he is selfish, he comes under guna Vaishya. Similarly, we can have other permutations, but rarely is a person a jati Brahman, a guna Brahman, a karma Brahman, all in one. It is not that they should be different. It is normally different. So is everyone clear again? If there's anything, please let us know. Yes, so Dipali, if you're not very clear about prayers, Shreyas, please go through the recordings on YouTube. You'll be able to understand it. Thank you so much. Now we'll be talking about Varna and their gradation. Now the question is whether there is any gradation in these Varnas. Can we say anyone is superior or inferior to the other? Jati-based Varna are all the same. There is no gradation. Birth cannot give any superiority to a person. Hence, a Jati Brahman, a Jati Kshatriya, a Jati Vaishya, or a Jati Shudra, all equal. If we take guna-based division, we say there is a gradation based on character. In a society, a person of noble character is definitely respected more compared to others. Thus, guna-wise, there is a gradation amongst varnas. Brahman guna is supposed to be the best, and guna Brahman deserves worship in any society, whether we call him guna Brahman or otherwise. If Gandhiji is respected, it is not because of his birth. We respect him for his selfless service and noble character. The Shaivite saint Nandanar was respected not because of his birth, but because of his devotion. We have 63 Nyanmars, Shaivite saints, whom we worship. Many of these Nyanmars were not Brahmins by birth. However, they are worshipped to this very day by the Brahmins themselves. This is possible because of the Guna Brahman status. Then, what about one's profession? There is no gradation karma-wise, for all professions are equally important for any society. Business is as important as politics is. We normally treat politics as something negative. We have come to believe so nowadays. But it should be remembered that politics is important for administration. Similarly, service and religious teachings are also necessary. Some people should dedicate their lives to the preservation and spread of scriptural teachings. The different professions can be compared to the different functions of the body. If society is like a body, then the different professions are like the different functions of the body. Which function of body is important? Can we say removal of waste is an unclean function? Can we look down upon it? We know what will happen if there's renal failure. Just as the different functions are important, so also the different karmas are important. We can see another example also. In an organization, there are different departments like the finance department, research department, so on. Which department can we say is more important? All the departments are important. Thus, we can conclude that profession-based gradation cannot be there. Birth-based gradation also cannot be there. Guna-based gradation also alone should be there in a society. How wonderful, right? Vedanta was so clear. Society will always respect a person who leads a selfless and spiritual life. Ramana Maharishi was not very active. Still, people flocked to him. As a spiritual seer, he is respected the world over. And how beautiful that, he's quoted in so many non-Indian books by so many international global writers. Now we've come to a section where we're talking about Varna and the choice. Now we have to see whether we have any choice in determining our Varna. And the question once again is which Varna? If we analyze as far as Jati is concerned, we do not have any choice because we are already born and we cannot change our parents. As the biological parents cannot be changed, so also Jati cannot be changed. We have no choice in this. So let us not worry about our Jati. Let us accept it. Fortunately, we can happily accept our Jati because all are equal from the standpoint of Jati. Gradation is not there. Then do we have any other choice in Guna? The scriptures say that with regard to character, we do have a choice in gradually evolving to a better state. Suppose a person happens to be a Guna Shudra. In other words, he's born lazy and mechanical. The scriptures say that he should convert himself from a lazy, mechanical character to a selfishly active person. He need not bother about selfless service at this state. He has to work for money, fame, name, children. In fact, the scriptures themselves prescribe a lot of rituals for selfish benefits. Many people go to the temple for selfish interests only. Very few people go to Lord Venkateshpati and say, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhina. This person shows his commercial attitude in his worship to the Lord and offers 10% to the Lord if he earns profit. And to all of you, you may know about this Dashansh, right? We've been speaking about it. Thus, a Guna Shudra becomes a Guna Vaishya. And the scriptures say, let the activity continue, but let it be more selfless. Only then does a person become a Guna Kshatriya. Finally, he has to become a Guna Brahman. In fact, the entire Vedic sadhana scheme is this conversion from Guna Shudra to Guna Brahmana. A Guna Brahman, in fact, is ready for moksha. And thus, Guna-wise, we have a choice. So thank you, Dimples, for being the Guna Brahmana for all of us.
You are all Guna Brahmanas, which is why you're here. It's got nothing to do with me. The interest is there, no? That's what matters. Spiritual punya is there with all of us, fortunately.
Absolutely. Now, then with regard to profession, do we have any choice? Profession-wise, we have a choice. We can go by heredity or by attitude. In the first case, we take the family profession. We have the advantage of starting early, maximum exposure, and constant guidance, as in Gurukul Vasha,
Gurukul Vas.
Gurukul Vash. Yes.
When there's a line
Then
on
they
top,
start staying, yeah.
elongate the A. Gurukul Vas.
Yeah, Gurukul Vas. Residential institution. So initially we used to have Gurukul and they used to stay there only. So that's why Gurukul Vas. This was generally followed till recently. The second possibility is to go by character, aptitude. Sage Vishwamitra became a Brahman and even revealed the Gayatri Mantra. To choose according to my aptitude, I should know my aptitude clearly. Today I have Brahman Guna, whereas tomorrow I feel I have Vaishya Guna. Most people are indecisive with regard to everything. If I'm able to know my inclination early and clearly, I can choose any profession based on that. If I'm not able to choose a profession based on Guna, the second option is given. I can choose my profession based on heredity. If the parents are in the field of religious duties or priesthood, I can also become a priest. If the parents are politicians, I become a politician. Many children take to their parents' business. Thus, there are two choices available. There is no necessity for anyone to feel any kind of complex because all professions are equally good. However, the scriptures say that when you choose a profession, let it not be a money-based choice. In other words, let money not become the primary criterion for choosing a profession. If money-based choice is made, there will be competition for certain professions, while for a few others, there will be no takers. So we're going to quote example, and after that, I've been speaking about this. Lakshay sadlo to Lakshmi ji aa jate hain is what our Vedanta says clearly. Lakshmi ji ke piche bhagenge aur Lakshay choose karenge to nahi hoga. Lakshay sadho, Lakshmi ji will come. Money will come.
Correct.
So now the example which we are being given in this beautiful Vedantic literature book is there are very few people opting for religious profession. Very few people opting to learn and propagate the scriptures. Very few people are opting to learn in the 21st century. Our wonderful scriptures may merely decorate libraries. In other religions, every family feels proud to dedicate at least one child for religion. In Hinduism, even the priest feels reluctant to send his own child to the Vedic profession. The Vedic scholar may become an endangered species one day. The reason for all this is money-based choice of profession. People will become more and more materialistic if money is the primary criterion. Our ancient culture and scriptures will be forgotten. Therefore, even as I practice a profession, the goal of my life and my character should be gradually changed. I should change from a Guna Shudra to a Guna Vaishya to a Guna Kshatriya to a Guna Brahmana. This is called Varna Vyavastha. So is everyone clear about this? I hope so far so good. It's a very simple book in English, which is very simply discussed. A little bit we are just adding value. The last bit for this is the ashram scheme. Now let us go briefly into ashram vyavastha, the schemes of stages of life. The scriptures talk about 4 stages of life, which everybody has to go through either externally or at least internally. Mentally, every person has to go through these 4 stages of life. The word ashram here means a stage of life in the progress of our spiritual journey. The scriptures talk about 4 stages: brahmacharya, grahastha ashram, vanaprastha, and sannyasa stage. In English, we can call them the 4 stages as student stage, householder, hermit or ascetic stage, and the monk or the renunciate stage. As a brahmachari, a person has to first go through a life of learning. Professional learning helps a person become professional. In addition to this, religious learning is also necessary because it helps a person in the fulfillment of the 4 Purusharthas. While scriptural learning is common, acquiring professional skills differ from individual to individual. The householder's ashram is a second stage where a person concentrates on prayas. We've spoken about this. What is prayas? The fulfillment of artha, kama, punyam, and prepares for shreyas. To a householder, prayas is of primary importance. You definitely want, right? This is how it is. Now, shreyas or moksha receives secondary importance only. Gradually, the priority has to shift from prayas to shreyas. Thus, in the vanaprastha stage, moksha is pradhana or primary. While pradhan. Moksha is pradhan or primary, while prayas is secondary. There is a gradual withdrawal from artha, kama, and punyam. The 4th stage of sannyasa is fully dedicated to shreyas or moksha. Thus, by gradually shifting the vision, a person finally dedicates himself or herself wholly to the pursuit of shreyas and attains moksha. A person can attain moksha by following his moksha marga. The vana ashram scheme, either one, you can get moksha. A person who keeps his ultimate goal as moksha is called a mumukshu. Now the question is, as a mumukshu, how do I discover moksha? What is the meaning of acquiring moksha? The scriptures prescribe a series of disciplines to help a mumukshu attain his goal. This series of disciplines can be divided into 3 stages or the 3-fold discipline, namely Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, Jnana Yoga. By following these sadhanas, a person will ultimately attain moksha. This was our chapter 3. Any questions, any doubts, you can unmute yourself and ask. You don't have to put on chat box, just unmute yourself. Everyone's allowed. So it's very interesting how Vedanta has described the human, the human race, that we're not supposed to be, so jati is okay. So now if somebody is confused, we can again review. Jati is okay, but character is also there.
Character is the most important.
Yes, now that is what they're saying. You can keep evolving yourself into higher. If you have the Shudra Pravritti, you can start becoming a householder, have selfish interests, which is Vaishya. Then you can go up to Kshatriya, where you're serving people like absolutely selflessly. Then you can go on to being a Brahman, where you're teaching, where you're educating, where you're into religion.
Or
and spirituality.
contemplating also, what is my purpose in life? What is the
Yes.
fundamental, goal in life? So all that comes under Brahmana. See, it's very interesting. If you look at the last sentence, see what Karma Yoga does is it gives you emotional maturity. So these are preparatory sadhanas. And then Upasana Yoga gives you a focus and the ability to absorb what is being taught. And ultimately, it's a Jnana Yoga that will give you moksha. But you cannot just go to Jnana Yoga. You have to get your mind prepared. That, it can take lifetimes. It can be done in one lifetime. But so that is why you start Karma Yoga, Upasana Yoga, and Jnana Yoga.
So I think there are no questions, which means the book is very clear and you were amazing.
It's very simple. No, it's very simply put. That's why I like it.
Yeah, it's a very, in fact, the ones that we read now, they were much, they were the treatise of Vedanta. They were easy, but not as easy as this.
No, this is giving the foundation, Prachi. You see,
yes.
You don't understand this, and after this, we'll do Tattva Bodha later. You will not know what they're talking about when they're talking about Sukshma Shariram. What exactly is a Sukshma Shariram? All need this foundation. That's all. Yeah.
I'm glad we're choosing this book because a foundation of Vedanta, basic knowledge, introduction to Vedanta is happening, which is so beautiful. So thank you once again for this beautiful gem of a morning. This Thursday, the Guruvar, it becomes a day when, we are just getting into spirituality, religion, understanding Vedanta, the
also,
very end of knowledge.
Our culture, Prachi, because we shouldn't just say, the Indian culture, they have caste, they have this. You have to understand why it was created.
Yes.
And how it got distorted is another matter.
But right. So very beautiful. So thank you, Dimples.
Thank you, Prachi.
Really.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks and
Thank
everyone.
you, Dimple. Thank you, Prachi. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. All right. I'll see you all again on Thursday. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right.
Bye-bye.